Maybe seated. Klal Yisrael lost the Ziknei Admorim today. The Rachmas Rivka Rebbe, Zeichet Tzadik Kodesh Levracha, that we lost today. It seems that the days leading up to Chodesh Elul, the last few years, the last few decades before Ikvus and Mashiach, that Elul starts a little early with Yortzites of Tzadikim. Of course, last week was Belzerov's Yortzeit, Sunday, Motzei Shabbos was Satmarov's Yortzeit, and then together the same day of Hershel Spinkum, Tasha Rebbe's Chusim Yudolinu Leinu V'Kusumeinu, Rav Pam yesterday's Chusim Yudolinu, and today the old Sklener Rebbe, Blazer Zisha, then Rabbi Shol Avram was the Yortzeit today, and then we add that to that Rachmas Rivka Rebbe, Zeichet Tzadikim L'Vrocha. Should be Meilitz Yosher and the whole Klal Yisrael, such big tzaddikim. The way we can give cover to the tzaddikim is to learn Torah, of course. Our beloved Rav Shlita is by Chasna of Einikel tonight. We wish Mazel Tov. And I like to learn from the Kedushas Levi. It's a short fort, and then we'll daven Marv quickly. After that, I'm saying after a quick learning. The pasuk in the Heinrich Sedra says, "Leisokim lecho matzevo." You should not set up for yourself a matzevo. Now we use matzeva to mean a tombstone, but in Lashon the Chumash it means any type of a pillar, and the way that's understood is something for a avodah zarah. So Heilige Barditch of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Sorshim Barditch of Chusi Galenim Klusulamain and the Kedushas Levi says near Lafarish. It seems we can explain it like this: Al Pisha Amar Rabbi Seinu Shulchan Mahaskas Mokum Pros Dekdei Shitkonis Latrakling. In Pirkei Avos it says that a person should prepare himself in the antechamber before he enters into the banquet hall. And what does it mean? That this world is a preparation for the next world. The fact that a person enjoys things in this world, he eats and he drinks and he enjoys all kinds of things, it's in order that it should be healthy and strong, in order to worship the blessed Creator. And that includes all kinds of things, and it includes all kinds of health and strength, even mental health. You need to enjoy yourself in this world, but it has a purpose. It's not just for the sake of its own self of enjoyment. It doesn't only mean the eating and drinking. Even you're here in the country enjoying, you're having fun, there's a purpose behind it. And that is part of it, especially all the tirdas, those of you who have to live in the city all year, it's very difficult. It's a very painful thing. Kashim yeshivas krachim. Very difficult thing. The Rambam says Adam nimshach acharas fiva. A person is affected, he's drawn after his environment where he's surrounded by. It's very easy to get very depressed, to be in such a depressing place. So you come here and you enjoy the beauties, niflos abare here in the country, or you enjoy playing sports, whatever you do, go out on the lake. That's for your mental health. That's also, so you should be bari v'chazak levardosa yisbrach shema. That you come here and daven, and you learn Torah, and that you have a clear mind. So when you learn every day, you blot Gemara, what you learn, it gives you the koiches to do that. And this is the same lashon we see the Rebbe Melech also in the Zettel Kotten also says that it's not for your own physical pleasure, but that the pleasure that you enjoy is for this is purposeful. It's a purpose-driven manner of why everything you do. But still, so when it says you shouldn't make lecho a matzeva, this idea of lecho is the idea of what the person enjoys in this world. Like even we know on Yontiv, it says it has to be. It's a whole machlokes kula lachem kula Hashem chetziv lachem chetziv l'Hashem. So that which is for you even though there are drushes that say it's fakir, we know that the Pashup Pshat in Chazal is that lechem means that on Shabbos you eat and drink, on Yom Tov you eat and drink, you take a nap, you enjoy things, you go for a walk, so forth. And that's called lecha. In this pasuk, Kedushas Levi is understanding lecha as the same as the singular of lechem. So remes leisokim lecha, and so that's what he means. You shouldn't stand up this idea of lecha, that which is for you. That the pleasures of this world are called lecha matseva. It shouldn't be a matseva, a pillar, perish maimad and matseva lekiyim. That is the whole purpose. That it's an end and a means in and of itself. Rather, it should be a means to that ends of olam haba, of things that are much greater and higher than that. And again, I often say that whatever you enjoy in this world, as long as it's mutter, you should always, obviously we eat and drink, you make brachas before and after. But even stamazoi, things you enjoyed a nice music or a nice show or a nice walk or something. You should say, Baruch Shalom, thank you for that. Thank you for all of the chushim that I have, that I'm able to use and enjoy that. And I hope and daven that we can use those koiches somehow in avodas Hashem. And the truth of the matter is, we've said many times that Rav Salanter teaches that someone else's gashmias is your ruchnias, right? That someone else's material needs are your spiritual needs. And thinking about this and thinking about looking at the world in a greater way, even though it's not exactly pshat, but I wanted to make a little bit of it zushtel, even if it's not 100% oisgehalten, but it's true nonetheless. As we're going into the Yemei Rachimim, the Yemei Ratzon, into Chodesh El, which is the Zman of Teshuvah, the very first halacha in Hilchos Teshuvah, the Rambam brings just a few words that I think are very fundamental and how one should look at Torah mitzvahs. Because quite often, as we're taught as children, we're taught that there's two categories of mitzvahs. There's Bein Adam L'Chaveroi and Bein Adam L'Makom. That there are the interpersonal precepts and the divine precepts. But it's not really true. They're not really two different categories. Because when the Rambam is discussing the inyan of Teshuvah, he says, V'chein achoyvel b'chaver mazik memoinoi. Af al pi sheshila loy mashu chayev loy einu miskaper ad yisvade v'yoshev malasis kazel olam. That if a person damages someone else, whether physically or monetarily, financially, even though he pays back whatever he owes them, al pi din, there's halachas about what you have to do. And the same thing he describes all the other things that if a person does a particular vera, in the old days there would be misa or malchus or whatever there is, and even bisman hazeh we still have dinei mamonos. Just because you paid that dinei mamonos that you're chayiv doesn't mean you're done. Because there aren't two categories of bein adam l'makom and bein adam l'chavero. All Taryag mitzvahs are bein adam l'makom. And the bein adam l'chavero is one category of that bein adam l'makom. And so once you paid back, or even before Shoftim, before Yom Kippur, people ask, be moichel me. We're asking everyone for mechila. That's not the end of the story. That's just the first step. Now that you got to that point, the next thing is, now you confess, you say vidoy before the Rebbeinu Shalom, Hashamnu Begadnu, and then you recognize that when you hurt someone else, you're doing an aver against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And the same thing is the other way around. When you're doing a favor for someone else, whatever you do materially, whatever it is in this world, it's all supposed to be looking at that greater and higher purpose of Olam Haba, of that there's a B'Shefer, the Rebbeinu Shalom is in charge of everything. And so in that way, it's just the opposite way as well. That the Amida Tova Meruba Meridus Peronius, that the Ariya Kodesh says before you daven, you should say Harini Mekabelai Mitzvahs I say Shal V'Yavta L'Echa Kamocha. Because if you want to have a conversation with another human being and you have something in mind that you want to accomplish, but you have to talk to them about something they like. So you might talk about sports or news or politics or movies, whatever it is the other person likes. for that purpose of getting into the conversation of what you want to talk about. And with the Barnei Shalom, who does the Barnei Shalom love? He loves the Klal Yisrael. And so when we are Mekabel the mitzvah, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, before we daven, then we're able to go. We already started the conversation with something that God's interested in. So now we're able to relate that to now talk about what we want. And in that way, when we look at that weiter Blick auf the Welt, the way these tzaddikim that we're remembering these past few days, and that we've lost recently with the Rachmas Rivka Rebbe today, they all looked at the world in that way. They understood that this world is only the antechamber before the banquet hall. So now, like the Rachmas Rivka Rebbe was able to enter into the Olam Haba, into the Traklin, because he understood that it is, we understand wherever we're doing now, including davening Marav now, it's all a hachana for something much bigger. And also we're hoping with the coming Mashiach from here.